I'm here in Munich and I've got the Olympus PL6 with me this week. I'm going to take it out for some street photography and just get to grips with the camera. If you've been on this channel before, you know it's been a little while since I've shot with Olympus. So there's a few learning curves along the way, I think. But I have to say I absolutely love the PL6 hardware. Now the PL6 came out in 2014 and has a 16 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. It was never supposed to be a flagship, but it is built like an actual tank, like so many of the Olympus cameras. And I think the hardware is absolutely gorgeous. There's something so satisfying about the moment when you take the picture with it. There's just this satisfying clunk and it feels really mechanical and really premium. So I have to say, in terms of the hardware, I'm really enjoying it so far. The software, on the other hand, is a different beast. Now, one of the downsides of the great build quality is it is a little bit heavier in the hand than the likes of the GX800s and some with more plasticky build quality. So there are pros and cons to this. If you do like a lighter camera, there are certainly lighter ones available, but if you do value build quality, this one is great. With that extra weight, it does also have a really good articulating screen that goes above and beyond some of the competitive models. Like the GX800 flips up, but this one goes up and down and all around. It's very strange. Now there is one niggle that I've been very confused with, and I spoke about it on Instagram, and that is I was struggling to find the battery meter. When you turn the camera on, the battery icon shows up and then it disappears immediately, and I was baffled. I couldn't find it in the menus. I don't get on very well with Olympus menus, so I asked the community and they explained that only cameras with an EVF have a constant battery indicator, which I think is a little bit dumb. So if you want to check the battery, you have to turn the camera off and then back on again and then check it and then it goes away. I will say that the battery life has been very good, but also I don't actually know because I haven't been able to monitor it. So I could have been like an inch from death on several occasions and assumed that everything was fine. Now, like a lot of these slightly older affordable cameras, there is a time-lapse function. But another weird thing is it seems to cap out at 99 frames. So that really means you can only make around 3-second time-lapses with this function, which I think is a little bit bizarre. You need at least 120 or 150 frames to make it worthwhile. Wow. So let's talk ergonomics. This camera has a great trick up its sleeve, and I wish more cameras would do this. The front grip, the black front grip, actually comes off just with a very easy screw. And that's really good because if you value ergonomics, you can keep it on. If you value the aesthetics of it all being red, you can take it off. And even without it on, it does feel quite nice in the hand because you do have a very sturdy back grip as well. And I really like where the on and off button is. However, I have got it confused with the video button a few times, but that's only a small issue. One thing that I have used more than I thought I would is the 2x teleconverter button. I've assigned it to a function button on the front, and because I am shooting primarily with prime lenses, it does give me the option to punch in camera and change the framing and effectively double my focal length. This does tend to just crop in on the actual megapixel, so I don't suppose it's much different than doing it in editing, but actually being able to see it in camera and being able to compose for that is really handy. Now the touchscreen. I love that we have a touchscreen, and it works if you want to change where your focus point is, that's great. However, that's about it. The minute that you go into the quick menu to see your settings, you can't actually navigate via touch. It's great that it has the feature, but it doesn't utilize it very well compared to other cameras. Another thing that I find quite baffling is every camera I've ever used in my entire life, if you're in aperture priority, you use the back dial as sort of a spinny dial to change the aperture or the shutter speed or whatever you may be in. With this camera, you have to just press up and down on the dial that moves, and I found that whole thing a little bit clunkier than necessary. There's a lot of weird choices in this camera. One incredible plus point is there is 4-axis stabilization in the camera, and you don't often find that in smaller camera bodies. I think in the Lumix line you'd be looking at the GX85 before that kicks in. So you do have some stabilization. It isn't the best in the world, but it does enable you to get some handheld shots really, really easily. There's a little connector here, and you can attach a EVF, which is stupidly expensive, so I don't recommend, but also a teeny tiny flash gun, which usually comes included with the secondhand bundles, and it's pretty cute. And that means I can also give the obligatory So exploring the depths of horrors, which is the Olympus menu system, is still as terrifying as ever to me. I find them really unintuitive, and this older camera is no different. But there is a quick menu, so you can access most things quickly. But as I've said, the touchscreen doesn't work in that bit, so it's still a bit clunky to sort of navigate. However, if you are sort of shooting in aperture priority or shutter speed priority most of the time, you can pretty much set the camera up and then you're ready to go. It's just if you need to find something in the menus quickly that I find it personally quite stressful. Your mileage may vary. So even with all its quirks, I have really enjoyed using this camera. I know it might not have sounded like it throughout this video. I have been a little bit nitpicky, but the image quality is superb and it feels really fun to use. And I really like the photographs that I've got with it, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. I also think really superficially it's really pretty. So if you've enjoyed this vlog, then check out some more videos in my tiny camera series and see which tiny camera might be right for you.